Earbuds are not my go-to when it comes to music experience, but we can't deny in some situations they're the best option. They've been around for decades and they make a lot of sense for music on the go. They're small, light, and sometimes can sound very good. Nowadays we see all sorts of models, like kind of everything switch from wired to wireless, and we even have a new design recently called Open Ear, which is what we'll be talking about today. First off, let's clear the air on one thing. Earbuds and earphones are not the same thing. An earbud rests on the outer ear without entering the ear canal. On the other hand, earphones, often referred to as in-ear headphones or in-ear monitors, IEMs, are designed to fit snugly into the ear canal. The open ear design, on the other hand, is something new and different from earbuds or earphones. Open earbuds actually sit even further away and don't make a seal with your ear canal, leaving your open ears to hear everything from outside, which in this case, this type of earbuds direct the sound towards your ear canal. It's like a directional audio system overall, and they've mainly been used for exercising like running or training. I can still remember my first earbuds I had on my Sony Walkman cassette player from the 90s, but even towards the late 90s when mini disc players came around, earbuds were still the top when it came to portable musical devices, and you would get them included for free with any of these players. This design was definitely a huge success. It was so good and comfortable that even Bluetooth earbuds adopted it, and recently we even saw some cool design development on that too. With technology now being more and more advanced, we get touch features or pressure sensitive gestures on them. The only problem was this sort of shape doesn't really fit well when it comes to running or exercising. So that's where these earbuds like Bose ones come in. They're definitely not the first open earbuds, but they have a new design and a new way of wearing that I personally never seen before. They also come at a price that I've never really seen before. So yeah, these are £300, and to justify that, Bose had to give us something pretty unique, you might think. At least that's what I hoped. Quick disclaimer, these are extremely buggy, they're full of errors, and I can't really say I had much fun using them for the last week. But I've decided I'm gonna go ahead and review these anyway, as it might help you guys to decide if these are the right buds for you, considering these are released quite recently and there's not many in-depth reviews there yet, although I'm sure these will be reviewed by many YouTubers from now on. So I'll try to be as specific as I can and keep it a bit short this time with things that are mostly important to mention. And I'll start with the settings and features first. So open earbuds are a new way of experiencing music with a reimagined design. Like we said before, they're mostly for running and exercising, and their main selling point is that they don't really go in your ear, but instead they sit around your ear without making a seal. We also see the bone connection technology on some of these buds, but that's a story for another video maybe. These are a bit different and they use vibrations that are conducted to your bone and not drivers like others. They can't provide sound as consistently as normal headphones can, so there's definitely going to take some time getting used to bone conduction. Apparently it's kind of the same for open earbuds like Bose, which are not with the bone conduction technology but still lose some of the sound quality because of the open design. I think the open earbuds concept is a pretty cool idea, and they can be very comfortable while you run or while you're going to the gym. They've been around for quite a while, but I've definitely seen them more often in the last few years. We see brands like Sony, Huawei, JVC, and so many others to choose from, which released really interesting models recently. These newly released buds from Bose are my first open earbuds actually, and I can say the experience is quite interesting, a bit like having a pair of speakers next to your ears. At the start I found it quite nice. It feels like the sound comes from outside and not from your ears. It's definitely something I've never experienced before from a pair of headphones, and I was quite impressed how they sound overall. I've tested these at home in a quiet environment and I like them. The problem starts when you go out, like when you travel on a train for example. You need to turn these up quite a bit to hear any details in your music. First of all, I couldn't hear any bass on these while I was out or had noise around me. But even in a quiet room, these lack some main frequencies, and I think it's because the physics and how these are meant to work, but we'll get to that in a bit. Just something to point out, these have some sound leakage, so if you're in a very quiet office for example and listen to about 60% volume, this can be annoying for the people next to you. Bose claims these have a very little sound leakage compared to others, but I think they can still be heard easily if you turn them up. So yeah, just something to remember in case you wanted to use them somewhere else instead of exercising. And for this price, I'm assuming all of us want to use them for any environment, not just for running. Unboxing experience is pretty nice. They come in a pretty neat design box. You get a charging cable as usual, USB-C, some manuals, and that's about it. Simple and easy. Mine were already charged and ready to use, which I guess is the case for most earbuds now. They always have some battery left. After a few unsuccessful attempts of connecting them to my phone, I gave up using the Bose app completely. This setup didn't work at all. I just used the old classic way of going to my Bluetooth settings and select them from there. After that, you can go back and use them in the Bose app. So if you guys get some errors like that, try this instead. The app looks pretty good. We have all settings in app here, the EQ and spatial audio, and that's about it really. These don't really have noise cancelling or any other features due to their open design, of course, and transparency mode is kind of always on, if you want to call it that way. So you'll always be hearing what's around you basically. The battery on this seems to be pretty good with 7.5 hours runtime, and the case will give you an extra 19 hours of usage. And again, we see another issue here. If you turn on the spatial audio feature, the battery will drop to around 4 hours. But to be honest, I don't think this is the best way of using these. I found the sound of these being pretty decent, but overall it feels like you're listening through a thin curtain. Not really sure how to describe it, but the sound coming out of these has a little bit of fuzz. Nothing major, but it's something I think it needs to be addressed. This is also probably because they're a bit far from your ears and you get some interference with the outside noise. No idea, but the music isn't really clear as I thought in some situations. On top of that, they have a very weird white noise when you connect them. It's there all the time actually. You can't hear it if you're outside running or on a subway, for example. But if you're using them at home or in any quiet environment with a lower volume, then you can hear that white noise. I thought it was something wrong from their app or a bug on my phone, but no, I've tested these on multiple devices and it's definitely a problem with the buds. I think this is a bit unacceptable for £300 earphones, but anyway. The best EQ settings for my taste is boosting the treble with +3. This will bring a little bit more clarity to your music. They don't have a bright sound as default, but this EQ setting will make them sound a little bit better, I think. Play around with their EQ presets too and see what you like, but for me this was the best as I like a pretty flat sound and I don't really add EQ or color to my music in general. I think the speakers and headphones in general should kind of speak for themselves in any situations, and no EQ should be necessary if the manufacturer knew what they're doing, especially for something at this price tag. The only thing I couldn't bring back after tweaking the EQ was the mid-bass. For example, on Oasis Wonderwall, which is a good song to describe this, when the bass and drums coming after the intro, you can hear the bass guitar clear, but there's no kick drum whatsoever. I could hear the kick drum attack, but you couldn't really feel that punch in mid-bass. And the same applies for similar songs. If we switch to something more electronic, we have the same problem with the kick drum. It's very dry and lacks body. And for something with more like drum heavy songs, you will definitely hear that kick better, but it doesn't have the impact it should have. Again, everything else from mid-bass up is there, and we also have a pretty good low end too. In general, bass lines sound good on these. String instruments and hi-hats, vocals all sound pretty good too. You're just missing that punch and energy really. And I'm not sure how this will be or if it will ever be fixed in the future, as this is mostly happening because of the open design, which is where the bass is lost. I think if the Bone technology can somehow be merged with these type of buds, like still having the drivers to do their own thing, but then compensate whatever's missing on the EQ spectrum with the Bone conduction for that mid bass, that could be a game changer. We'll just have to wait and see what comes next. To be honest, if you're like me and you want your music to sound great in any situation, don't get this. Get something like the AirPods Pro. Their transparency mode is so good and you have all the noise cancellation options on top of that, an amazing sound, and all that for a lower price too. I would look them up on Amazon and wait for some deals. They usually have these reduced now and then. These Bose earbuds have also Snapdragon sound, which basically gives you the option to stream lossless audio when using an Android phone. And I'm thinking, is this actually necessary, as you can't really hear much details on these in the first place? Listening to lossless or high-res audio in something that's not hi-fi, or especially in some running open earbuds, you most likely won't notice any difference from your standard Bluetooth settings. This is probably there for marketing reasons, where Bose knew these are not bringing many features the way they are in the first place. These buds also have immersive audio with head tracking, but it's a bit different in this case. They kind of redesigned what Apple came up with on their AirPods. And like I mentioned in my previous video reviewing the AirPods Max, it's kind of pointless for music, but it can work well for video. Well, this time it's still pointless too, but also doesn't really work. And here's what I mean. First of all, if you have Apple Music with Dolby Atmos feature on, this won't work. And the same thing applies for any other apps which support Dolby Atmos, but instead Bose added this immersive audio feature which you can turn on only from their app, and it will apply to everything that you are playing. When you activate special audio in these, it has the same two features we know, static and head tracked. Only that this time, the static one is what Apple calls head tracked and vice versa. They've literally reversed the whole thing. So when you set your spatial audio to static, the sound stays in the middle if you turn your head sideways, and then the head tracked option follows you as you turn your head. But it has a huge amount of delay. It's like dragging a balloon that's holding onto your headphones and then you have to wait for it to arrive. That's literally how the soundstage feels, and not to mention this sets everything to almost mono. Whenever you turn on spatial audio, the stereo image becomes extremely tight. So yeah, not the best head tracking experience on these. Plus, do we really need that extra feature considering these are built for running? Maybe not. But hey, if you don't care much about hi-fi quality music, then these will serve you just fine. As we mentioned, they sound pretty decent, and if you're just looking for something that plays your podcasts while you're exercising or music without the need of any fancy high-resolution soundstage, again, you'll probably be pretty happy with these. The reason I don't think these will be that successful is because first of all, they're too expensive, and the older design of in-ear buds works so much better for the majority of people. But I might be wrong. I guess time will tell, and you never know, these might be the future. And that's about it really. It's not all bad using these Bose Open Earbuds. And if you really need your ears to stay open while you run or exercise, or that's more comfortable for you and you don't need that extra features and high quality sound, then these are the best option. But I personally get something like the AirPods Pro if in-ear design is not a problem. You'll get a way better sound, great noise cancellation and transparency modes, and all that at a lower price. Thanks for watching if you made it this far into the video, and let me know if you have any comments or any opinions. I'd love to debate these a bit more and see what you guys think of them too, if you had them or already thinking of buying them. I'll see you on the next one.